Hello friends. This is going to be a slightly different video than typical for me. Instead of scripting this whole thing and then agonizing over it for days in the edit, I'm just gonna kind of give you a sort of stream of consciousness, just gonna sort of rant unscripted and record over some gameplay here. So I'm recording my audio and gameplay at the same time, which I don't usually do. I don't know, but I just feel like this is sort of a I need to get this off my chest sort of thing. So Donkey Kong Bananza obviously came out pretty recently. I played through the game like 1 and almost 2 times, but I beat the game once 100%, and I've almost beaten it a second time. And I really love the game. I could go on and on. The game itself, fantastic. Truly, like, it's a 10 out of 10. One of the best games to release this year. So I was pretty excited when they announced, oh, there's DLC coming, and it's coming out today. And one of the big things in that DLC is DK Island, that they're including again, you know, and it's very nostalgic. And I thought that was very cool. The music here is very nostalgic. I grew up with Donkey Kong 64. You know, that game came out when I was like 6 or 7, you know, and Donkey Kong 64 is a game that's very close to my heart, very nostalgic for me, as much as the Donkey Kong Country games are, or at least the first Donkey Kong Country game especially. I just have a lot of nostalgia for Donkey Kong games. And so this was all very exciting, honestly. Game I really like, getting DLC I really like, one that hits a lot of nostalgic notes for me. And the problem is that this DLC is such a huge disappointment. It's not good, and I would honestly wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't say it's worth the money at all, And we'll start with some of the things I do like about this DLC first. So for starters, DK Island is really fun to explore again in sort of like a new version. They pull in elements from like a lot of different games. I mean, you've got K. Rool's Gangplank Galleon from the first 2 Donkey Kong Country games. Obviously, the final boss of Donkey Kong Country happens on K. Rool's ship here, and then the sort of opening moments of Donkey Kong Country 2 also occurs here. And seeing it here is really cool. And there's a lot of really cool details. The flag here, you know, all these like little decorations and stuff. Super cool stuff. Lots of very cool, great attention to detail. The attention to detail is great. I think this is the only sort of world in this game that has just like bananas as well. Like there's the Banandium gems that you can normally find throughout the game. But I think DK Island's the only place where there's just normal bananas as well. And here's the fun thing. You can punch, if you punch the banana, instead of just punching it, DK grabs a handful and he eats them. He just nom nom eats the bananas. And that's just fun. That does happen with other like fruits in like the resort layer and other parts of the game as well. But it's pretty fun here too. Squawks is here too. DK Island is very fun to explore. Like I said, it's cool just to like be here again and enjoy the music and explore the island and stuff, right? I'll show you a very cool Easter egg that I really thought was a lot of fun. Obviously, this is the Returns house from the Retro Studios games, but there's some fun details in here that like call back to like DK64 and even the Smash Ultimate trailer with K. Rool. There's these photos on the wall. You know, the TV is from Smash Ultimate. Fun details there. If you go under his house, the Kong Banana Horde is here, and this like even the exact sign from Donkey Kong Country. So, you know, like the details, the attention to detail in creating DK Isle is awesome. And you know, of course, you go inside the island. There's like minecarts and stuff. There's a lot to see and do. Maybe a fun detail here, there's these sort of like blue flamey torches. I think that's even like a callback to DK64. When you exit DK Island in that game, there's like a cave tunnel with blue sort of blue fire torches there too. and then you come out onto the beach out of the front of DK Island, right? Just so look, there's like these bananas here. This is like where the banana porters were. And then there's these little platforms all over the place that look like they're, you know, from the Rare games, but like aged visibly, you know. It's so full of cool things. The problem is there's a lot to see here that's really cool, but there's nothing to do except for like do the couple of like gold collecting bonus stages, which are all like repeats. Like they're all bonus stages that you've played already in the base game. There's a lot of gold, just gold to find, and that's fine, that's cool. And there's just like cool ruins and cool little spots that feel like, you know, they're pulled from previous games. That's cool. Like I said, lots of things where it's like, oh, you can kind of feel like this is the ultimate DK Island. Like it's just this amalgamation of all these old DK Island sort of, you know, iterations from previous games, whether it be the Rare games or the Retro Studios games. And there's even like a floating island somewhere that feels like, oh yeah, it's up there. There's a couple little floating islands. Feels like where, you know, there was a couple of those in DK64 as well. But there's nothing to do. You can kind of just explore around and like see the island and get gold. You can gather gold, and that's it. I guess the main thing is the Emerald Rush minigame, and I'll come back to that in a moment. There's just like not that much else to this place, and it feels kind of like a shame because like the rest of the game, the base game, every sort of world in this game has been just as jam-packed with details, but just chock full of things to do and collectibles to find and stuff like that, right? You could go to any one of the previous worlds and there's just so much to do. And I do not feel that way with this one, with Kong Island. And it's really disappointing in that way. Like, I think the base game sets such a high bar, and now there's just kind of not a lot going on here. And that sucks. That, I don't know. Especially, you know, to pay the same amount for this that I paid for Silksong. I guess we should talk about Emerald Rush. It's sort of the mini game here. We'll just. Oops, we can't teleport right now. All right, never mind. I will not fast travel to there. I'll just whatever. I'll go there. Emerald Rush is sort of a post-game mini game that you can play with Void, and it's sort of like a roguelite mini game where you have to go and collect emeralds for him. You can do it on other worlds too. And of course you unlock perks as you do it more. But my biggest issue with Emerald Rush is it's not all that interesting as well. And it's certainly not interesting enough to like carry a whole $30 DLC. You know what I mean? I said $30. That's Canadian, of course. I believe it's 20 USD. But for my fellow Canadians, that's $30 for this. Here's the thing, the quota is 75, okay? Let's see how fast I can hit 75. Oh, I already hit it. I already hit the quota. Literally, that was the quota. Now you can get all these little additional perks that will work during your run of Emerald Rush. Just during your current run, mind you. And Void will sometimes come on the comm and sort of give you bonus objectives to do or whatever. The problem, or a big problem here, is there's no challenge. It's really easy. You just kind of go on a rampage. I did not feel. I think I did like several difficulties of this. I never felt like I was being pushed or challenged in any way. I just felt like I was kind of going hog wild. And it's just like not, I don't know, like for what the base game is, this feels weirdly out of place, and you know, the novelty of it loses steam really fast. And it feels all very brainless to me, I don't know. Splatoon 3 had like Salmon Run. Well, Splatoon 2 had Salmon Run. But Splatoon 3 also had Salmon Run. And then Splatoon 3 also had its side order DLC, which was kind of like a roguelike sort of thing. And it did that really well. But the thing is, on your first run of side order, it's pretty challenging, actually. It's a pretty challenging thing. And of course, as you get more perks and abilities, it gets easier. But I just feel like there's so much more risk and more at stake and more challenge. And they like wrap it up in like a separate story campaign that justifies it all really well. And it just feels so much better executed. And this, by comparison, feels, I don't know, like a big nothing burger. Or a big nothing banana, I guess. I think I would be unbothered by this, too, if this were, like, in a free update. You know what I mean? But it's not a free update. It's a paid DLC. And these menus pop up every time you pick up a thing. It's like, my god, there's so many of these little menus just constantly popping up. You know, the base game is like about exploring and discovering things, and sometimes you smash your way through problems, and that's fine, but that's not necessarily what the game is about, really. It's an adventure game. And this just feels like out of sync with the game design and the philosophy behind the base game. I also mentioned before Mario Odyssey. This had the same development team as Mario Odyssey. I'm just gonna quit out of this and I'm gonna boot up Odyssey and I'm gonna show you. Okay, well I haven't played Odyssey since the Switch 2 came out, so have to download the update. So, let's see where we... Oh, we're over here. All right. Let's just go back to Mushroom Kingdom here. Spoilers for a game that came out in 2017, but in case you haven't played it, spoilers. After finishing the game, post-game rolls around. Credits finish rolling, and then you unlock the Mushroom Kingdom as sort of a post-game area. And then, of course, there's stuff that's added to all the other worlds, or the other kingdoms, I should say. So if you finish in Mushroom Kingdom, you can go back to all of these other kingdoms as well, and there's new stuff to do. And then, on top of that, after Moon Kingdom, which was where the end of the game was normally, there's the dark side of the moon, and the darker side. So there's 3 post-game areas in Odyssey. Mushroom Kingdom is a really fun area. I've done everything, but there is tons to do here. There are power moons to find. There's tons of NPCs to sort of chatter with. You know, there's these little towers in here, and there are like boss fight rematches in here to do, to get more power moons, right? And there are unique power moons to collect, although they are stars here instead of moons, of course. So they give you this whole area, and that's cool, but there's so much to do here. And a lot of it is grayed out because I've done it on this save file, and I wasn't going to start a new save file just to show you all this. That would take way too long. Point is, it's not just sort of here for funsies. Oh, actually, hey, I've achieved everything there is to achieve. That's great. Art Investigator. So here's my very... Oh, look, I did have something. There we go. Thank you, Toadette. Look at that. I actually was missing 1 moon. In fact, I think there's a list here. Yeah, so just here in Mushroom Kingdom... Oh, I am missing one still. There's 104 power moons. And granted, a bunch of them are from Toadette. About half of them, I think. Just a little over half. But still, the fact of the matter is they jam-packed this area with things to do. And this is not DLC. This is just part of the base game. They just added in an extensive post-game area. So this is great. I love this. Now switching back to Bananza. DK Island. Okay. It does feel to me that they wanted to tickle the same nostalgic chord here by sort of setting this post-game setting in DK Island. The same way that Mario Odyssey drops you in Mushroom Kingdom, right? The problem is there's no Banandium gems here. There's no new objectives. There is the canvas, there is the island, the setting here, but they forgot to put any objectives. They forgot to put anything to do in here. And that just makes it all feel super underwhelming, because you get here and you're like, this is cool, and you start exploring. And then you quickly find yourself out of things to do. You can get these statues from Squawks in exchange for banana chips. Fine, that's fine, I guess, if you want to collect these. That's probably the only worthwhile thing here. It does make me wonder if they had this planned as like a post-game area, and then they like, someone made the decision in management to like slice it out and repackage it and sell it separate. Like, someone in management was like, oh, you know what, we could make an extra 20 bucks from people. Just take out DK Isle. Take DK Island out of the game. We'll add in a little mini game, and there's our DLC. But it just, you compare what we got in Mushroom Kingdom to this, and it's like night and day to me. And it sucks because clearly the level designers like put a lot of love and care into sculpting this island and putting in as many thoughtful little details and throwbacks as they could. The problem is, it's just like, what's the point? Another thing that this could be pretty easily compared to is Splatoon's DLC. Splatoon 3, Splatoon 2 also had a really good DLC campaign. But Splatoon 3 is the one that I feel is a more apt comparison. Now, the reason I bring up Splatoon 3 is because the DLC here included some nostalgic settings. You got like the plaza, Inkopolis Plaza from the first Splatoon game. You've also got Inkopolis Square from Splatoon 2, but you've also got the Order Sector, which is the side order DLC. And they gave you a whole story campaign here. And side order is also a sort of roguelite. You go up the spire. Like Emerald Rush, you don't have your main, core abilities that you have in the base game or whatever. And you get these little individual perks as you go and do things, right? And Side Order had like an extremely high replay value. I'm probably not going to go through the whole spire today, but extremely high replay value because every level had like a distinct objective here. I haven't played in a while, so I'm probably not good at it. I guess part of it is because you're doing this whole lengthy run through the spire instead of just like this mini game, starting with nothing and then unlocking perks as you go up. It doesn't feel like weird and disjointed, and you're not being like interrupted with menus constantly. You know, you've got sort of a, you know, pretty, like, sort of expected times when menus are going to pop up. It's always going to be between levels, and you get to sort of, like, pick your perk then. So it feels like they were, like, trying to squeeze in the elements that worked from this campaign and make it work in Donkey Kong's Emerald Rush. But it just feels, this feels so much more in depth. So they've got, you know, the color chips rather than the fossils that give you all these like different like perks and stuff. It's kind of a similar idea, right? But again, they wrap this up in its whole, like its own story campaign with its unique settings. It's got this creepy, sanitized sort of artificial feeling to it. Somehow this feels like way more justifiable as DLC. You know, there's just a stronger sense of design purpose, of objective, of challenge. There just seems to be like more thought and effort put into it. Whereas the DLC here for Bananza just feels so much more aimless by comparison. Like it feels weirdly cash grabby, I guess. Like it needed a little more time in the oven. And like I said, I think whoever, you know, whichever artists were like working on building the setting here of DK Island, I think they did a great job of building the island and making it look really good and filling it with details and little Easter eggs and stuff. Like, I think they did a bang up job there. I just wish that they had, you know, put something to do in here. And I kind of think Emerald Rush is not it. I really don't find Emerald Rush to be fun. And if you're enjoying it, like, that's fine. This is not a slight against you, by the way. You know, people get weirdly defensive about their video games, but, you know, if you're genuinely enjoying this DLC and having a great time with Emerald Rush or whatever, like, more power to you, honestly. I wish that this had just been included in the base game, or maybe a free update, you know, like maybe I wouldn't feel bad about this if this were just added in a free update, but $30, and to have this DLC come up so soon after release too. There's a cynical side to me that feels like someone at Nintendo conceived of a way to like, oh yeah, we can just slice a bit of the game out and make a little more money that way, you know, just package it separate. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels based on like what we've got here, who developed it, and how close to release it came out, how close to the game's launch that the DLC released. So it just feels like premeditated in a way that is really disappointing to see. There's this sort of dichotomy of Bananza genuinely being like this surprise hit game that is like one of the best games that to come out this year and is like really lots of love and care put into it, and is one of those games where I'm like, wow, Nintendo's got it still. You know, they still got it. They know how to make a damn good game. You know what I mean? And then, you know, like it makes me look at them in a way that's favorable, where I'm like, oh yeah, they're not just the corporate shills that are like, oh, the Nintendo money-making machine. They love making games, and they make good games that I love. And then they come out with this DLC, and I'm like, no, maybe they are. You know, at least there's a branch of Nintendo somewhere that is the corporate money-making machine, Nintendo, that just doesn't give a shit. And they'll tease you with a little bit of nostalgia to extract some cash from you and give you nothing in return except for an empty space to run around in, filled with nothing to do. I'm salty about it. I'm salty. I guess the big, like, you know, long story short here is that this is a fantastic game but this DLC is absolutely not worth the $30. I think I've ranted long enough. I have to edit this down to a reasonable length because this video's up to like 40 minutes recording of just me ranting away, so hopefully I can make something concise out of this. But this is what happens when I don't write a script ahead of time and I just start going off. All the usual YouTube things. Feel free to like this video, comment, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'll be back with more Zelda content very soon. I just had to get this one off my chest. I really appreciate you guys staying tuned and watching, and a big special thanks is going to go to my patrons and channel members whose names are going to be scrolling by on screen right now as I speak. I'm done talking now. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye-bye.